this week's edition of the 10X Mastermind group call. And so this week, what we're going to talk about, this is the end of the quarter. So this is one of my favorite times of the year because we just finished up the first quarter. A lot of you hit your goals out of the park. A lot of you just completely blew it away. Others of you, you're not even close. And so we're going to talk about how to reset, how to draw a line in the sand, how to create a clean slate going into the second quarter. Now, we're recording this on a couple of different platforms, and ultimately today is going to turn into an evergreen, what's called an evergreen webinar. So if you've never done an evergreen webinar, what I'm doing today is I'm going to record exactly what I'm going to talk about on a PowerPoint presentation, set you up with some great content going into the second quarter and give you some step-by-step that you're going to want to take action on and implement so you can have an even better quarter coming up than you had the first quarter. I don't know about you, but I finished up last year with one of the best years I've ever had. A lot of my clients the same way. The first quarter was just off the charts, and the market right now is super excited across the board. I have about 10 different clients that I coach one-on-one in states all across this country, and they're all singing the same tune. John, I got to hire. I need more talent. I need more people. Translation, I've got a lot of business and more's coming in, and I need you to help me find the talented people, recruit them, hire them, and train them. So the goals that we're going to talk about today is how to set SMART goals, and I'm going to explain what that is here in a minute. Then I'm going to give you some strategies that you can take action on and execute in the second quarter to have an unbelievable result. Now, this recording is going to go out on Facebook Live. It's going to go out on YouTube. It's going to go out on my podcast channel. It's going to go out in all kinds of different mediums. So I'm going to be dropping a phone number in here at some point where if you want the PowerPoint presentation itself, if you want the recording on audio and video, if you want the cheat sheet, the actual note-taking sheet, then I'm going to share that as well. And so with that said, let's just hop into our content. Let me pull this up here. And I'm going to minimize, actually I'm going to keep that there. And boom. And so, perfect. There we go. And so let me actually get back to the very beginning. Boom, boom, boom. That's what happens when you leave somebody like me in charge of technology. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So if you're here on the live call in the Zoom meeting, so if you're on Facebook Live, in the post there, you'll see a Zoom link. So highly recommend you copy and paste that link into your browser and join us live on this. I'm going to share some content here that is not going to be shared anywhere else, and you're going to actually be able to see everything on the screen. Otherwise, you're just going to see me, okay, which is fine with me as well. But all right, so we're going to talk about real smart goal setting for business owners. Now, every single thing I'm going to talk about on today's call will apply to anybody, whether you're a business owner or not. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a teacher, a doctor, an attorney, an employee, anywhere, what I'm going to talk about today is going to be relevant to you. You're going to walk away from our time together with actual actionable items that you can take action on. One of the hottest trends going on right now is if you're an employee, is having a side business. And if you don't have a side business, I'd highly recommend you find a network marketing business that you can join, because you're gonna create new tax strategies, new tax loopholes that you can take advantage of, which is going to allow you to do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to allow you to raise your exemptions on your W-4, get more money on your very next paycheck. You're going to set yourself up as a business owner, and you're going to get to take advantage of well over 300 tax loopholes that most business owners get access to. So there's two types of tax laws in this country, and I'm going to get on the sidetrack here in a minute, but I'm going to land the plane. Number one tax system is you're an employee. You're not a business owner. And what that means is you earn income, the IRS rips you off for as much as they can, and then you get to survive on what's left over. That's what most people are involved in. It's the highest tax structure on the planet. If you want to get your tax liability down to single digits, then you really need to start a business. By doing that, you get to earn income, you get to deduct as many expenses as you can through legal tax loopholes, and you only pay taxes on what's left over. I got no issues in paying my fair share in taxes, but I sure as hell am not going to pay more than my fair share. So there's a whole nother talk for a whole different day to show you how to just literally take it and rip the IRS off the other way versus you getting ripped off yourself. So one of the goals that I would highly recommend you set in the second quarter, if you're not already doing it, is start your own business. Whatever that is. There are thousands of network marketing companies out there. There are thousands of affiliate programs out there. There are people like John Lee Dumas making $190,000 a month just doing a 7-day podcast and only pitching affiliate links with other people. So it can be done. And he's only been at it for like 5 years. So whatever your idea is, whatever you got in your mind, you can take action on and increase your income dramatically in the second quarter. Literally, if you do what I'm going to talk to you about today, you can take action on this and literally double your income, if not triple your income in the second quarter. It's doable. I'll be honest with you. You're going to work your ass off. That's the one caveat. You're going to work your butt off, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a business that runs, and you're going to be able to expand on that. So let me start off with a story. So one day in a fine dining restaurant, a guy named Bill walks into the men's restroom, and he sees a guy named Fred standing in front of the men's urinal, kind of perplexed, kind of a little upset. And so he looks at Fred, he looks down, he notices that Fred dropped a $5 bill inside that urinal. And so Fred notices that Bill's looking at him, and Fred looks at the urinal, looks back at Bill, and he reaches in his pocket and he grabs a $50 bill and tosses it inside the urinal. And Bill goes, "What are you doing? That's a $50 bill." And the comment is perfect for what we're talking about today. Fred looks back at Bill and he looks at him and he goes, "Well, come on, man. You don't think I'm going to reach my hand in there for $5, do you?" Now, it's kind of a corny story, but it lays the groundwork for what we're talking about today. When the stakes are high enough, when you're very clear on what you want, you will do things that you would not normally do. And so we're going to talk about how to set that up for yourself today, how to take action, and how to have the best quarter you've ever had. It all comes down to intention. My intention on today's time together with you is I'm going to give it all to you. Some of you are going to be able to take what I talk about today and you're going to be able to take action on it, and you're not going to ever need to contact me, and that is great. I want you to go out and succeed. The only thing I request is, hey, let me know about your success. Love to hear about your success. Others of you are going to need some help and some assistance, and I'm going to share with you a way to go about doing that. So let's talk about, before I get started, some of you don't even know who the heck I am. And I was born at a very early age in a little small town called Dallas, Texas, but I grew up in a very poor home, very dysfunctional home. Mom and dad hated one another. They divorced when I was 9, tried to get back together when I was 12. But when in April of 1987, I was 17 years old, and they decided to part ways, and one of them wanted me to go, it's like, do you want to go with Mom? Do you want to go with Dad? I'm like, screw both of you. I'm going out on my own. Convinced them to put a trailer in the back of this house right here. This house is on the corner of 40th Avenue and East 14th Street in Oakland, California, which is now International Drive. very safe neighborhood. Not really, right? And so I remember being in that trailer behind there and just not knowing what I was going to do with my life. I decided to drop out of high school. I was highly addicted to drugs at the time and had no clue on where I was going to go. And so if we fast forward to September 24th of 2010, I'm featured right here on the center page of the Sacramento Business Journal because I had managed to build a company from 2007 to 2009 while the economic collapse was happening full force, from $0 to $1 million in those 3 years. And so how does somebody go from homeless, basically, to doing that in such a short period of time? High school dropout, heavily addicted to drugs. It's very simple. I did it with a mentor. This is my very first mentor right here. His name is Gary Ballard. This is his wife named Virginia. And in the summer of 2012, like most kids, my dad said, it's time for you to go and work. And so he talked to Gary. Gary owned an auto parts store. And Gary paid me a little bit of money to sweep the parking lot, dust the shelves, clean the back room. Whatever the hell the guy asked me to do is what I did. And while I was working for Gary, because Gary knew my stepdad, who was a tow truck driver because he came there to get auto parts, he knew my home situation. And he took me under his wing and he started mentoring me. I didn't know what it was called at the time. He started coaching me, mentoring me, whatever you want to call it. But he started telling me things like, you know what? I understand your situation. I understand the struggle that you're going through. And I want to tell you flat out, I grew up in a poor home, man. And look at me now. I have an auto parts store. I have a really nice home in San Ramon. Got a great retirement coming up. Getting ready to sell my business. You can do the same thing. Now, why am I even sharing this? I'm going to pause for a minute. Because there's some of you out there who are continuing to drag that baggage of your past around, and it's holding you back. And one of the things that Gary used to always share with me is, you know what? You can have anything in life you want, John, if you're willing to work hard and do what is necessary. The other thing I learned from Gary is, you know what? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And that's what I'm here to share with you. It doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter where you're at in life right now, what has happened, whether you've gone through a divorce, bankruptcy, grew up in a poor home. Maybe you are flat out broke right now. Or maybe you're making a crap ton of money and you have a great business, but you hate your life. Regardless of where you're at, I'm here to tell you, today is the first day of the rest of your life. So Gary kept feeding those things in my brain. And I'm going to tell you, man, it started to catch on. I started to think differently because it was a completely different message than what I got when I was at home. My parents didn't really want to interact with me, so I was left to raise myself from the time I was 12. And what I found is, at the age 17, a full-blown drug addict, high school dropout, had no clue. And what had happened is Gary had hired me to work when I wasn't at high school, hired me to work at his auto parts store, and I did not tell him that I had dropped out of high school. Instead, I went and got a gas station job, worked at his spot in the afternoon, wearing the mask that I just got out of high school, and then in the summer of 1987, I worked full-time there. And he found out that I was homeless. He said, oh, hell no. Took me in, gave me a roof over my head, said, you're going back to high school. He had no clue about the drug addiction problem, okay? Bought me a car, really set me up, and said, you know what? I am just absolutely upset at your parents, but you know what? I'm going to take you under my wing, and you're going to make something of your life. Now, here's the importance of this. Sometimes what we need in our life is someone to believe in us. And Gary was that guy for me. Who's that Gary in your life? Maybe you don't have one. Well, guess what? I can be that person for you. All you got to do is plug into this live call every single week or listen to the podcast, and I'm going to mentor you on how to become greater in whatever area you want to become. And if you want to build a business, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Because see, what happened in July 21st, 1987, at 12:35 in the afternoon to be exact, Gary sat in front of me and revealed what he had just found out about me. And I'll get a little transparent here because it's important. My drug habit had gotten so bad that I started skimming money from the till to pay for my drug habit. Now, I'm not proud of that. It's one of the worst moments of my life. It literally was the moment I hit rock bottom in my life. And all he can do is look at me, because he had been mentoring me since I was 12 years old. And he basically said, you know what? How can I help? He wasn't yelling at me, wasn't cussing at me, wasn't doing any of that. All he wanted to know is, how can I help you? And I'll never forget, I said, you know what, I really don't need your help. And he says, well, you can't live at my home anymore. I'm firing you from your job. I need the car back. Basically put me completely back out on the streets. Well, in a couple of hours, I decided, yeah, I did want help. And ended up going to a rehabilitation center, spent 45 days there. Didn't even know that Gary actually paid for the whole thing. Cost about $15,000. Because see, he believed in me. And I'll never forget, when I got out of there, I went and met with him and said, hey, how can I ever repay you for what you've done? Now, I'm going to land the plane here in a minute what this has to do with goal setting and how you're going to be able to take the information I'm talking about today and really succeed with it. Because see, I'm passionate about this mentoring thing. I'm passionate about this coaching thing. And what he said to me that day is like, when you become successful, I want you to work your ass off. I want you to go and live your life. I want you to take this second chance that you have here, and I want you to go a different direction. And when you get to the point where you're successful, I want you to help as many people as you possibly can. And I never forgot it. And so when I got to the point where that happened, and how that happened was I met this guy right here, a guy named Dave Vanny. Met Dave Vanny when I was 20 years old. I was working at a gas station in Carmichael, California. Gave me my first shot at business. It was the Amway business. I failed miserably at it because I hated sales. He wanted me to go out and talk to perfect strangers. Now, some of you out there know what I'm talking about. You hate sales. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's a learned skill, and it's the most important skill you can develop as a business owner. And so I quit that business in 1994, went and worked in a warehouse, injured my back, and in 1996 I humbled myself and I said, you know what? The words of Gary kept coming into my mind. It's like, you need to own a business. You need to own a business. You need to own a business. You can do anything you want in life, John. You could, all this stuff that my first mentor started telling me started coming back. And I went and sought out Dave Vanny and I said, I'm willing to learn. And got back in that business and had a lot of success. Used the training and the mentoring that Dave Vanny gave me. Hired my next mentor, Mike Sastry. Started 3 companies from scratch, built all 3 of those companies into multi-million-dollar businesses, sold them, bought another company, built that into from a $250,000 business, $750,000 business, sold that, all because I had mentors in my life, all because I was willing to humble myself and understand that, hey, there is a better life out there. And so what I'm here to tell you is it doesn't matter where you're at. What matters is where you want to go. And I'm going to share with you some strategies that I've used over the years, that I continue to use in my businesses now, that I continue to teach other business owners, that will make all the difference in the world in how much money you make going forward. But more importantly, how you can balance it and not only make the money, but have a good quality life and have balance in every area of your life and have a great home life and a great relationship with your spouse or significant other and great relationships with your kids and just complete harmony. And so if you get nothing out of my talk today, one of the things I want you to get out of it is get yourself a mentor. My current mentors, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez. I'm involved in Grant Cardone's ambassador program, Ty Lopez's Mastermind. And those two people, because I've taken advice from many mentors over the years, and that is find 2, maximum of 3 mentors that you're going to follow. Any more than that's going to cause confusion. It really, really will. Maybe you resonate with me. Maybe you resonate with how I talk and my message and that sort of thing. Maybe you're curious about how you can mentor with me. Well, it's very simple. Go to johnpyron.com. Click on the book appointment button. We'll talk for 10, 15 minutes and we'll see if we resonate. If we do, great. If not, pretty confident I can refer you to someone. But you need to get a mentor that you're going to pay money to so your butt will take the action necessary to succeed. I've tried free mentors. I've tried free mentors for years. I never was motivated to take the action. Okay? And so that's something that I would recommend you do. All right, I got 2 outcomes for our time together today. Number 1 is we're going to talk about 3 keys to real smart goals. Number 2 is I'm going to give you an opportunity to mentor with me at the end. Okay, because keep in mind, I'm recording a live webinar today. And so let's talk about the 3 keys: inner game, outer game, and action. So inner game has to do with our mindset. And we can have the best mindset, but if we don't have systems in place, it's going to be very hard to succeed. We have to take action. You can have the best dreams in the world. You can have the dream board on your wall. You can do, you can have the visionary tactics. You can meditate on it every day. But if you don't have systems in place in the plan of action, your chances of success are small. And on the flip side is you can have the best inner game you want, the best mindset. You can have the greatest systems on the planet. But if you can't get your butt to take action, none of it's going to matter. And so I'm going to talk about all 3 of these today and give you some step-by-step stuff. So those of you that have not followed me or this is your first time hearing me, I'm a very systematic person. I'm a very step-by-step. I'm going to give you literally on a silver platter, step-by-step, what you need to do today to take action. What I can't control is whether you take action or not. That's why they call me the business doctor. It's like coming into a doctor's office, getting all your vitals, getting all the questions answered. The doctor hands you a prescription, and then you put it in the glove box and never do something with it. Well, guess what? The advice is worthless. It's the same here. I'm going to give you step by step, and I'm going to give you the action steps, and I want you to commit to at least taking action on one thing today. If you do that, you're going to move yourself down the road even further. So let's talk about mindset, the inner game. And one of the mindsets of a champion is that there's always room to grow. The other thing, and I'm going to ask you this question, is how many of you believe that you have potential inside of you to perform at a higher level than the level you've been performing at? And if we were in a room together, you would be raising your hand right about now. So if you're on the live Zoom call, just give me a thumbs up. Put a note in the chat window. Hey, I agree with you. So here's my favorite example of a great mindset. It's about the great Michael Jordan. 6-time NBA champion, one of the best basketball players of all time. Now I say one of the best basketball players of all time because there's some people coming up that are smashing his goals, and it's fun to watch. But one of the things about Michael Jordan was his mindset. And if you think about it, you've got to be great to play in the NBA. Okay? Not the good people don't make it. You got to be great. But what made Michael Jordan exceptionally talented wasn't the fact that he was born an exceptionally talented athlete, which is true, but it was his mindset and what he did in the off season. And one of the true stories about what he did in the off season is every off season he would go back and watch hours and hours and hours of film. He had a little notepad, and he would take notes. Hey, I want to improve this. I want to improve that. I want to improve this. He would have this whole laundry list of things that he wanted to improve in his game. And then through a process of elimination, deduction, combination, would whittle it down to one thing. Just one. After that, he would go out and find the trainer, the coach, the mentor, all the stuff that he needed to succeed. And his entire off season, he would focus on that one thing. So 1 year it was his left hand. That's all he did the entire off season, was focus on his left hand. The next season was his strength training. And that's all he did the entire off season, was focus on that strength training. And it was that system, it was that discipline that made Michael Jordan great. Well, what about you and I? I want you to go back over the last 3 months. So whether you're on the live call today or you're watching the recording, I want you to go back over the last 3 months. And I want you to evaluate your game. How did you perform in your business? How did you perform in your personal life? How did you perform in your health and fitness? How did you perform in your finances, with the relationships that are the most important to you? How did you perform? What was the game that you played over the last 3 months? And while you're going through that, I want you to make a list of the things that you would like to see improved in your game. And at the end of the day, and this is a perfect time to do it. We're coming up at the end of the quarter. If you looked at my calendar right now, I have a 3-hour block of time set aside on Friday. Because that's the last official business day, for me anyways, that I'm going to be working. And so I literally have a 3-hour block of time set aside to do exactly what I'm talking about here today. I've been doing this exercise since 1992 when I learned it from Clark Broom. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my game, just like Michael Jordan. Make a list. I'm going to whittle it down to one thing that I can work on over the next 3 months. And if I don't have the person, I'm going to find the mentor, I'm going to find the coach, I'm going to find the audio program, the books, and I'm going to focus all my energy and effort on that one thing. And I want you to do the same for you. Now, the only reason you won't do what I'm talking about right now is because you are doing this right now in your life. For those of you that are on the audio, what I have on the screen right now is a picture of a 24-hour fitness center. And in the front of it is a staircase in the middle with 2 escalators on the side, and the 2 people going into the gym right now are taking the escalator into the gym. Why? Because it's easier to do that than it is to climb the stairs. And if you don't have it, if you've never read it, I would highly, 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 highly recommend you go get the book, Take the Stairs, by Rory Vaden, Roryvaden. Because it's in taking the stairs, it's in doing the difficult things that are going to give you the success in life. So write down real quick, just real quick, okay? I commit to do this exercise over the next 3 days. Whether you're on the live call or listening to the recording, I want you to write that down right now, your commitment to do something, okay? I'm going to put the chat window up here. If you got any questions, those of you on the live call, if you got any questions, I want you to put them in the chat window here, and I'm going to deal with them as we go. So I want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions that you want clarification on, I want you to put it in the chat window. All right, let's talk about the next step in the inner game, which is SMART goals. So when I look at SMART goals, is the norm out there is specific, measurable, attainable, which I replace with achievable, relevant, which I replace with realistic, and time-bound, which is the same timely. Now, why did I replace those? Well, let me get into it. Number one, in order to have a SMART goal, it's got to be specific. And the best way to get specific on a goal is state the goal and ask yourself, what's next? Or why? What's next? Why? Continue to ask that question until you whittle it down to what that specific goal is. And if you go back and do what I was talking about, go back through the Michael Jordan exercise and review this past 3 months, you're going to have a whole laundry list of things that you want to improve. A lot of the goals are going to come from that. Things that you want to see improvement. But in this second quarter, I want you to identify one key thing you want to work on, get specific about it, and then I want you to come up with no more than 3 major goals that you want to get accomplished this next quarter. I want them to be very specific.
Okay. Here's content.
Then I want you to make sure that they're measurable, which is the M in SMART goals. Are they measurable? Can I actually measure this goal? Come up with a way, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, whether it's a metrics finder. Maybe you can Google, hey, goal tracking systems. And if you haven't created a one-page strategic plan for your business or for your life, send me I'll put up a text message here, an email to send me a text message. Send me a text saying I need the one-page strategic plan work, and I will I'll add you to the Dropbox folder where I did a complete webinar on it. There's a template in there, step-by-step instructions. Get yourself a strategic plan. This week and next week, this is what I'm doing with all my one-on-one clients. We have our strategic one-page plan. We're hitting on strategies at this moment in time because we visit strategies on once a quarter. But if you don't have that in place for yourself, get that in place. I'll give it to you on a silver platter. You need to execute on it. And then when you show up to this call, you can ask whatever questions that you want. But the goal, in order to be a SMART goal, has to be measurable. Next, is it achievable? If you're looking at achieving a quarterly goal, is it achievable this quarter? Is it? If it's a goal that you're looking at for the rest of the year, is it achievable? Maybe it's a 2-year goal. Maybe it's a 3-year goal. Maybe it's a 5-year goal. Is it achievable? Now, I will tell you this. If you're not working with a mentor, you're probably going to be shooting for a lower goal. See, when my clients come to me and I work with them on their goal setting, whatever goal they give me, I increase it by a factor of either 30% or 50%, depending on what I know about their skill set, because I know that they're going to play a smaller game because they're focused on their comfort zone. Why the hell would Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, why would Joe Montana, all these famous, Tom Brady, all these famous sports athletes, why the heck would they work with a coach? I mean, they're great. The reason is this. A good coach will force them, will encourage them, will challenge them to perform at a higher level and go beyond where they're capable of going. It's one of the things that excites me about being a coach, being a mentor. That's what I fell in love with when I realized that Gary was my first coach, and I realized the impact he had on my life. I realized the impact Dave Vanny had on my life, and Mike Sastry and Steve Napolitan, and now Grant Cardone. I realized the impact that those people have on my life as they force me to stretch beyond where I even want to go. And if I don't work with them, guess what? I'm not going to perform at a higher level. So before you make the decision about whether this goal is achievable, I want you to run it by somebody who is a lot more successful than you. Somebody that has a lot more success in this area than you. And ask them if it's achievable. And if they're a good coach, if they're a good mentor, and they understand you, and they understand your personality, and they understand your skill set, they're going to raise that bar for you, and the goal should scare you a little bit. Not terrified, right? Not like way out there. Like if you're earning, $5,000 a month right now, why the hell would you set a goal to earn $20,000 a month? Is it achievable? Yeah, it's achievable with the right mentors and the right coaches. Is it achievable in your mind? That's the key. So if you're a $5,000, shoot for 7,500. Shoot for 10 grand. Something that you can embrace. It should scare you a little bit. I'll be honest with you. It should scare you. It should stretch you to go beyond where you think you can go. Why the hell would you want to be the same person 3 months from now than you are right now? Yeah, you love yourself. It's not about you loving yourself. You were created for greatness. There are 7.53 billion people on the planet right now, and you're the only one that has your fingerprints. You're uniquely created with gifts and talents that nobody else has. Why not go for it? So it needs to be achievable. Get the help that you need, get the mentoring that you need, and set a goal that will really stretch your butt over this next quarter. You'll thank me later for doing it, I'm telling you. Next is it realistic? Right? So if you're $5,000 a month, $7,500 is realistic. $5,000 real, heck, $20,000 is realistic. It just depends on what you're willing to do and the mentors you're willing to take on and the actions you're willing to take and the business and the industry. It's all these things together that help you design a realistic goal. Like I have a client of mine, they did $900,000 last year. We just finished up 3 years of working together. When I started working together with them, they were $147,000. I'm not even going to mention who they are to protect their name. But when we started working together, they were $147,000. Been in business for 5 years. Last year, over $900,000. And I said to him, I said, hey man, we started setting these goals for 2019. I said, you know, give me what your goal is. He said, I want to do 1.2 million. I'm like, okay. How do you feel about that? He goes, I really think that we can do it. I go, good. Then we're going to go for 1.5. And he's like, oh my God, really? I go, yeah, we're going to go for 1.5 because I've been working with you for 3 years. I know your skill set. I know your business. I know exactly what you're capable of doing. I know exactly how to get there because I've done it before. And we're going to go for 1.5. Does that scare you? And he said, yes. And I go, good, that's great. And we laid out a plan on how to get there. So realistic is a state of mind. That's why we're talking about mindset. Finally, timely. It needs to be time bound. Needs to be a date put on it. What day are you going to accomplish this goal? We're talking about the second quarter. Let's keep it simple here. Set 3 solid goals that will impact your business, your finance, your family, your personal life. Set 3 really, really good goals that will impact every area of your life and just focus on it for the next 3 months. And then show up every week on this call, on the live call. Ask your questions. I'm going to answer them. Okay? So that's SMART goals. And here's what it looks like. Okay? Can the goal be broken into smaller pieces? Is it emotionally charged? Is it going to motivate you? Okay? Do you have the energy to carry out the goal? To do the work? Accountable. Can your goal be tracked and accounted for? Responsible. Will it cost you friends, respect from family, your integrity, easy to respond to changes if required? You know, what will you have to, T is touchable. What will you have to hold as a completed result? Okay? What's the end result? Here's a client of mine. Her name is Deborah Scarpa. And when we started working together, her biggest challenge was mindset. She had a complete fear of sales. But her goal was to double her income. That was her stated goal for us working together for 3 months. We started working on her mindset. We got it dialed in. Put some sales training in place. Put some systems in place. And at the end of our time working together, not only did she double, but she quadrupled her income. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see her quote, I helped her increase her income 4 times. She since then has 10x that by 40 times with a whole staff now because she got the mindset correct. Here's a quote from Steve Young. Outside stuff never did affect me very much because I'm basically driven from within. I don't like to compete against others. For me, it's about self-improvement and being better than I was the day before. And one of the common themes amongst all the great athletes on the planet and all the great mentors that you can think of is they don't compete against other people. They dominate their space. They focus on, okay, how can I get better today than I was yesterday? They don't compare themselves with anybody else. Because out of 7.53 billion people, and you're the only one that has those fingerprints, there is no other comparison. So, it's like somebody told me one time, is from age 20 until about age 40, you care about what other people think. From age 40 to about age 60, you don't really care what other people think, which is where I'm at right now. And then by the time age 60 happens, you realize nobody's been thinking about you the entire time. And so why not embrace that now and compete against yourself? So let me give you a daily mindset exercise that I use. And so this is an exercise that I learned from mentors over the years, and I've kind of fine-tuned it to myself. And so one of the things I do very first thing I do in the morning is I get up, I whip out I have a journal that I set aside for that, and I put the date on the top of the journal, and I sit there and I'm pretty much putting myself in a meditative state, and I ask myself, okay, what do I want? What do I want? I do this every morning. Whatever comes to my mind first is what I write down. What do I want? Next question is, I'm going to identify one thing for each one of those goals. So when I ask myself, what do I want? I'm looking for 5 things. And I keep asking that question. Sometimes it takes about 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 10, but I write it down as if it already happened. Then I look at each one of those things I just wrote down and I ask myself, okay, what is one thing I can do today that will move me one step closer to that goal? And I write that down. Then what I do is I go into my calendar and I put those 5 things as tasks in my calendar. I make an appointment to get it done. Because I know, for me anyways, the new task list is a calendar. We're such a task-driven, busy world that we got so much information coming at us. We've got interruptions constantly. And unless you set yourself an appointment with yourself, you're not going to get it done. This is one of the biggest productivity tips I've learned over the years is take a task and set it as an appointment. Then when you finish up your day, sit down and look at your journal again and go, okay, what were my wins today? I'm going to write down what my wins were. And a lot of them are going to be, hey, I did that, I did this, I did that. I did the 1, 2, 3, 5 things that I said I was going to do today to move myself one step closer to that goal. Do you have any idea what that does to your mindset? It confirms to your subconscious mind that you can count on you. And it feeds what I would call your confidence account. And you're making constantly daily deposits in your confidence account so that you have that in the bank to withdraw on when you need it. So when you do face a challenge, when you do face a hurdle, when something happens in your business, you have all the confidence in the world that you can count on you. And that's why it's such a powerful exercise. And then finally at night, whip out the same journal, ask the same question again, and you're looking for 5 more things. Whatever comes to your mind, it might be the same as that morning, it might be different. God, the universe, whatever your belief system is, will feed that to you. And you're going to write down those 5 things, so that way when you go to sleep, your mindset is going to focus on that all throughout the time you sleep. Our subconscious mind never sleeps. It doesn't know right from wrong. It's just a recording device, and whatever we put in here is what's going to come out in our conscious actions. And that's why this is such a powerful exercise. I've given this to the most analytical clients on the planet, and they all look at me with the same response. I just paid you all this money, and this is the best thing you got? And I tell them, heck yeah. And then 2 weeks later, they come back and they go, oh my God, this is such a great exercise. Thank you so much. I'm more clear on where I want to go now than I've ever been. So I know it works. And I want you to do this in this next quarter. If you just do this one thing, I guarantee you, you're going to have a better quarter than you've ever had in your life. Because you're going to get a lot more clear on what your goals are actually, what are the goals that actually are going to drive you. And by taking action every day, it's going to motivate you. And it's just going to be one big old cycle that's going to motivate the heck out of you and create a result, because you're going to take the action and create the work to do it. So that's the inner game. Let's talk about the outer game. I'm going to zip through this real quick because it doesn't take a lot of time. I learned this thing called baseline strategy back in the day. And baseline strategy, since we're at the end of the quarter, is go back and look at the areas of your business, your personal life, your health, your fitness, finance, whatever it is you want to measure, okay? And you're going to do what's called a baseline strategy on it. So let's just talk about money. So what I'm going to do on Friday night is I'm going to go back and I'm going to add up all the money I made in the first quarter. That's my baseline. Then I'm going to go back and look at, okay, all the things I did to create that work. So first I'm going to pick the metric to measure. In this case, it's going to be money. I'm going to list out on a sheet of paper every single thing I did that worked to create that money. Then I'm going to ask myself, okay, what can I add to my baseline this next quarter? Just one thing. What can I add? I mean, you can add multiple things. I've done that. But I found that I am a lot more consistent and a lot more successful by focusing on one thing. What's one thing I can add to my baseline this next quarter to make even more money? And I'm just talking about money. You can do this with health. You can do this with your finance. You can do this with the relationships with your kids or your spouse or significant other. You can do this in any goal, any area of life that you want to see improvement. This strategy works, and it works every single freaking time. I know, because Clark Broom taught me this in 1992, and every freaking year I've had a better year. The exception of the years I didn't do it. Exception of the years that I just got lazy. I started celebrating my wins too much. I rested on my laurels. I got lazy. And then what snapped me back in place is this right here. So what can you add this quarter and write that down? The next thing you can do is look back at the strategies that you did in that quarter and go, okay, what didn't work? What am I not taking into the next quarter? I'm going to subtract that out. Next is, okay, what can I modify? What are the strategies that kind of work, but if I tweaked them just a little bit, they would work even better? And I'm going to do that as well. Next is I want you to make it a system. And how you're going to make it a system is I want you to do this every week. Okay, I want you to go back. For me, it's Sunday night. Sunday night, I go back, I look back at my previous week, I look at all the stuff I got accomplished, and I do a baseline strategy on it. Then I do it once a month. On the last day of every month, I set aside about an hour, and I do this every month. What were my results this month? What do I want to do this next month? And make it happen. We're at a quarter now, and so I'm doing this on a quarterly basis, which is why the 3-hour meeting, because I got an entire quarter to evaluate and go into the next quarter stronger, better plan of action, greater opportunity to take action. And then finally I do this the last 2 weeks of every year. It usually takes about 2 weeks to map out the whole next year. So it's a system I've been using for years. I've built multiple $1-million businesses. I've helped a lot of companies build 6-7-figure businesses, giving them these same systems, and I'm giving it to you. Let me give you a referral system that you can implement in the second quarter. How many of you like more referrals? Great. Let me give it to you. Most people don't have a referral system. When I go into a front of the room and I ask them, hey, how many of you in here have a referral system in place? And 3 or 4 hands go up out of 100. I said, let me explain my definition of a referral system. Referral system is I know going into the next month how many referrals I'm going to get, what day they're coming to me, and who they're coming from. Based off of that definition, how many of you have a referral system in place? And all the hands go down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to you on a silver platter. So here's the first step of it. Okay, it starts out with person of influence, POI. Everybody has a network that they have influence with, but not everyone is a POI for you. A POI is somebody that has a high percentage of your target market inside their network. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a system on how to get access to that person's network. And so I'm going to send you a 5-part video series on how to implement POI. You don't even need to contact me. Just follow it step by step, and you're going to implement this POI system. Once you have identified who your POIs are, Now what you're going to do is you're going to implement a strategy with that POI. It could be a joint venture, reciprocal referral relationship. There's so many different strategies you can implement. I'm going to talk about a reciprocal referral system. But here's basically the 5 steps to POI. You're going to make a top 10 list. You're going to narrow the list to 4. You're going to visit their LinkedIn. You're going to meet with them. And you're going to use a referral form. Those are the 5 components. And the 5 videos I'm going to send you for free is going to walk you through step by step how to do this. So I'll get to the point where you can get that here in a second. Let me actually get through this because we're kind of running out of time. All right, here's a POI for me, a guy named Jim Canaris. So Jim Canaris, him and I have been doing this, been doing a reciprocal referral relationship since 2006. So what I do is I go to his LinkedIn profile every single month before we meet. And I did this today because we're meeting on Friday. So I went to his LinkedIn profile, I go to his connections list. I go to the search bar, and I type in president because that's who I'm looking for. Then what comes up when I type in president is all these people. Now, if you're looking on the live screen, Steve Harper's been a client of mine from Jim, Henry Chang, Stratev Rock is still a client of mine, Brandon Heinz. These people are people that I did this strategy with Jim, and he gave them to me on a silver platter. So I always bring a list of 10 people when I meet with Jim. The other thing I bring with Jim is I bring a blank referral form, which you see on the screen, and we meet. We get together for about a half hour. I ask him how his month went. He asks me how my month went. We go back and forth. We talk about the strategies we use to succeed in each other's business. We talk about what we're looking forward to in the next month. And then I whip out my list and I go, who on here do you actually know? And he says, I know this person, this person, this person. I don't know. It's always about 4 or 5 on the list I bring him. He gives me their cell numbers. I give him the referral form here because invariably he thinks about people that are not on the list. And we put those down on here. And I say, hey, I'm going to call these people and tell them that you referred me. He goes, great, let's do it. Every month I walk away with 7 to 9 referrals every single month like clockwork. Now I got smart over this last year, as I said, why meet with 4 people on 4 separate occasions? Why not create a mastermind group? Which, James, we should do a whole nother video on how to create your own mastermind group. But now I've got 6 people in the room. They're all going after the same client, and I walk out of there with about 25 to 30 referrals every month, which we're doing on Friday, which I'm excited. Okay, and so to get this stuff, okay, all you need to do. This is my client Stratev Rock, by the way. When I first started, I've been working with him for almost 4 years. I taught him this one strategy and this one strategy only because he's an engineer and this is his personality type. He's quadrupled his business over the last 4 years. He's going to double again this year. So for those of you that are scared of sales, this strategy is perfect for you. Now, send me a text, okay? Send me your name, send me your email. Make sure it's your full name. And in there put, what's the name of this talk? Smart goals for business owners in the text area. So I'll know what resources to send you. But you're going to send it to 916-741-0596. So 916-741-0596. And I'm going to send you all this stuff on a silver platter. The POI videos, the referral form, the LinkedIn strategy on how to use it. I'm going to send it all to you step by step and the recording of today's talk. Okay? That's the inner game. That's the outer game. Now it's time to take action. And I'm going to close with this. Okay? Steve, this is Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, this picture, Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice finished up the first Super Bowl with Steve Young. And greatest wide receiver of all times. And what happened is they used to have the Pro Bowl the very next weekend. So Steve Young forgot his jacket down at the facility. Goes down there to get his jacket, notices the lights on in the practice facility, goes in, he sees Jerry Rice practicing, running routes. He's already into next year. And so here's the point. Never, never, ever rest on your laurels. This quarter is going to be done. I don't care how much you had success in the first quarter, you can't take it into the next quarter. You got to prepare for the game just like you would prepare like you did in the beginning of the next quarter, except now you've got some tools that you can take action on and implement to make it even better. So to play at a higher level, you got to expand your comfort zone and you got to take some new action. And so I started a mentorship program, okay, called the 10X Business Owners Mastermind Group. And I'm not going to go into the details of it here today because we're about out of time. But what I want you to do, if you want the information about it, let me actually just fast forward through all this, okay? So I want you to go to johnpyron.com/get10x now. So johnpyron.com/GET10XNOW. All the information's up there. It'll be the best mentorship program that you've joined in a long time. I'll be your personal mentor and coach. And come on there, share with me your plan for the coming quarter, and I'm going to give you some live coaching on that. So I hope this has been valuable for you today. Hope you got a lot out of it. We covered a lot of material. The recording's going to be up, what, 2-3 days? Okay, 2 or 3 days, we'll send out the recording. I want you to go back and watch it again and take action on it. And if you do, and you take action on what I'm talking about, and you work on your mindset, and you work on the systems, and you take action, I promise you, you're going to have the best quarter you've ever had. Keep in mind, it's like I said in the beginning, it all comes down to having a mentor. These two guys changed my life, Gary and Dave. Question is what are you going to do? Are you worth the investment of your time, your money, your energy to have the best quarter you've ever had? The good thing is the choice is yours. So I hope this has been valuable for you today. Go out and make it happen. We'll talk to you later.